What's up, everyone? Good morning. Welcome back into Shaw Local's Bears Insider Podcast. I am Kyle Nabors along with Sean Hammond. It is Friday morning, December 15th. We are just a little more than 48 hours away from Bears versus Browns, Sean. And it's weird. I won't call it like jubilation or even I won't even go as far as to say optimism, but there are a lot of Bears fans that are poking their heads up out of the bunkers this week, hearing the words playoffs and seeing some competent football being played in Chicago over the last couple of weeks. Um, some curiosity, at least, is emerging in Chicago.
Yeah, isn't it funny to see? Yeah, where you start throwing the P word around, you start talking playoffs, all of a sudden everyone's paying attention. I know the diehards have been paying attention all along, but it's really fun that they're in this position. Obviously, it's still a long shot. You probably got to win out,
Definitely,
and
you definitely got to win out unless
the
something strange happens here. I mean, there's a lot
yeah,
of teams in this blob at like 6-7 and 5-8. Someone's gonna put some wins together here.
you would think somebody is going to get to 9-8. Certainly, yeah. I mean, you think you got to win out here, and really, I mean, playoff talk could end pretty quickly if things go poorly this weekend in Cleveland. So let's enjoy it while we got it.
Yeah, that's a great way for me to bring up. Make sure you go to shawlocal.com. Mark Silverman's latest column is up right there from Waddle and Sylvie. Sylvie, breaking out the optimism himself this week. But he mentioned, like you go into this, the Bears win this, and there's going to be a ton of optimism.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be right in the middle of that playoff hunt. You assume if they win this game, you're going to get a good game out of Justin Fields against one of the top ranked defenses. Like everything kind of lines up if they win this game. There's going to be a lot of optimism coming into this. But as Sylvie pointed out, they lose this game, it's going to go right back to people calling for jobs.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the nature of the beast, right? That's the NFL. If you're winning, things are good. If not, should you even be here anymore? And I think that this is going to be a tough matchup for the Bears. It's the site of Justin Fields' first start way back when. We all remember that game, 9 sacks. It went awful. It could kind of be a full circle moment here if he comes out and has a really good game against a defense that's still really good. They still got Myles Garrett, who, if you recall, had 4.5 sacks in that game 2 years ago. Man, that was wild. So yeah, I mean, an opportunity's here in front of them. They just got to play well this weekend.
Absolutely. But before we get into that game, make sure, as I said, you go to shawlocal.com. Stay there all weekend long for coverage for this Bears Browns game. You can follow Sean on X at Sean_Hammond. You can also find him on Instagram and Threads. You can find myself on X at Kyle Nabors. You can find all of our content at Bears_Insider. Jake Bartleson is producing behind the scenes for us again this morning. You can find him on X at Jake Bartleson. He is with Sean at not at Hallis Hall, at Soldier Field every Bears home game, and writes our 3 and out, our immediate analysis after each game each week. Sean, I want to say before we get into this Bears game though, or this Bears Browns game, we do this podcast on Monday after that game against the Lions, and we're talking playoffs, and even then it seemed really far fetched. And then Monday night happened. You get the 2 games on Monday night, and your boy Tommy DeVito, right, the Illinois kid, coming out, and
how about that?
Handing the Packers a loss. How about that, man?
Yeah, look, that was a really big game. I've been keeping my eye on. The New York Times has a really cool playoff prediction model. You can pick who wins every single game, and you see what the odds go from. And going into that Monday night game, a Packers loss really, really helped the Bears in that situation. I mean, the odds really dropped. I mean, look, they got 8% odds to make the playoffs. It's still not great, but I mean, that number plummeted further with a Packers win on Monday. So yeah, you got a little help from the Giants, from Tommy DeVito, a fellow Illini like myself, and they're right in this thing, man.
Dude, it's such a fun story too. I love the Tommy DeVito story.
How can you not?
Just out there balling, dropping the I don't know what is this sign. I don't is there a
I think it's just Italian.
I know what it is. I just don't know if there's a name for it. But dude, that was awesome. And They're cutting to his parents during that game.
Yeah.
Were you watching that game? I guess I should.
No, I kind of caught up with it later.
Okay, it was great. I don't know if you've ever seen his parents, but his parents are like the most stereotypical, like looking Italian New York parents you could have too.
Yeah.
Like his dad sitting in the stands, just dropping one of these after, like it was just an awesome game on Monday night. It was a weird game. Neither team could hang on to the ball, but yeah, definitely a big help for the Bears. So pivoting back though to this Bears Browns game. Sean. Well, one other thing, everyone, I can already see the comments coming in, questions coming in heavy here this morning. Thank you, everyone who's joining us live on YouTube. Jake is producing, like I said, behind the scenes. He'll be throwing your questions and comments up on the screen as we go along. We really do appreciate it. Hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you could. If you are watching on YouTube, it helps other people find the show. Sean, when we start breaking down this Bears Browns game, though, where do you want to start?
I mean, I think you have to start in the trenches. You have to start with Myles Garrett and Zadarius Smith and those guys on the Browns defensive line. I mean, that's where this game is going to be won or lost. And you're looking at Braxton Jones at left tackle. You're looking at Darnell Wright at right tackle. And yeah, as Rick says here, the tight ends are going to play a big part in that. Cole Kmet, Mercedes Lewis, Robert Tonyan, those guys are going to have to help out in pass protection. What you don't want is, and what I don't expect is what we saw 2 years ago, where you trot out against this defense and you're just going five guys blocking, empty sets the whole time. That was clearly a misguided approach a couple of years ago from Matt Nagy.
Yeah, I don't expect we're going to see that one again. Looking back on that, it's kind of wild that was the game plan with Justin Fields making his first career start.
It made no sense then. It makes no sense now. I mean, you look at what this offense with under Matt Eberflus and Luke Getsy does. Like, Justin Fields is rarely in a situation like that anymore. He's got help. They're doing things that play to his strengths, rather than taking your rookie quarterback and trying to fit him into Matt Nagy's vision of what an offense should look like.
So the question then becomes, if one, how do Braxton Jones and Darnell Wright hold up against these edge rushers? How much help do the Bears give them? As CJ says, chip, help, max protect, right? Are we going to see a game plan similar to what we saw in Minnesota in terms of heavy on the screen passes, get the ball out of Justin Fields' hands quick? Like, do you call, how many shot plays are you mixing in here to try and take advantage of, you do pick up that, if you do pick up those blitzes, you're going to have opportunities to get the ball downfield against a depleted secondary. They're really banged up. The Browns are banged up on the second end here in their secondary. Theoretically, Justin Fields able to stay upright. This could be another blow up spot for DJ Moore.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's somewhat similar to what we saw against Minnesota because of that. I know people aren't going to be happy to hear that. But look, I think they also probably learned. Yeah, Rick with the no with a million.
Yeah, all caps there. Or the podcast listeners wondering why I'm giggling over here. The all caps no.
Look, you hope that they also have learned some things from that too. You can have a similar type game plan, but also give Justin Fields some more options if he wants to call an audible or whatever. Like, they don't all have to be screen passes and lateral throws. You can mix it up a little bit more than I think they did in that Minnesota game. And I think they're learning from situations like that where, they obviously it worked. They won that game, but it was a struggle that day.
It was. I want to quick talking about learning from situations. You tweeted this yesterday with Luke Getsy talking at Hallis Hall about that 4th and 1 fake tush push play where they pitched it out to DJ Moore and it was stuffed. Luke Getsy, what's the best way to put it, Sean?
I mean, he took the blame for that play.
Yeah.
But then the more interesting thing, that's maybe not. I mean, I know people have been wanting him to take the blame for stuff before, so that is a little surprising that he, said that so blatantly. But I think to me, the more surprising thing was that he said, there was really no audible option out of that
right.
look. which to me is like, shouldn't you have an option out of every look? I know that when you're lining up for the tush push, it's a very unique formation. It's very
particularly on fourth down, right?
It's 4th and 1. It was a long one. I don't know
Oh,
if that would scare you away from doing the sneak there, but you would think that the obvious audible would just be sneak it, right?
or call
If
a
you
timeout, or get out of the
or
play.
call a
Like
timeout, get out. Yeah.
if you know you're in trouble, as he admitted there, which I at least liked the accountability.
Hmm.
I hope we get more of that. Here's another thing. I'm going to sidetrack us here. I had 670 to score on earlier in the week, and Dan Campbell, they were replaying his answers from after that Bears game, and they were kind of joking about how bad he sounded after that. Like, you remember Dan Campbell first hire, the knee biting, people making
Yeah.
fun of him, and then Dan Campbell goes on a big winning streak with the Lions, and everyone's like, "Oh, the guy knows what he's talking about." They pointed out like how dumb all NFL head coaches sound after losses. But now I bring that up because here you go, the Bears started to put a win streak together. Now all of a sudden Luke Getsy's like, "Oh yeah, I messed that up." You know, like it's amazing how much more willing people are how much more candid and willing people are when they're in a good mood and things are going well.
Yes.
Yeah.
That reminds me too of when Matt Nagy was hired, and remember the Chiefs had lost that playoff game where they didn't run the ball in the second half, and he came in for his Bears introduction, and he owned it. He said, "Yeah, that was my bad. Like I should have called some runs here and there." And like, yeah, that's the same situation where like, the mood you're in totally matters, because I can think of several times during the Nagy years where there were similar questions after a loss, and the mood wasn't so good. I got the exact quote here from Luke Getsy um, about that play, the 4th and 1 play, and basically, yeah, he said that he called that play, and as soon as he saw where the defensive backs were lined up, it was different than the looks they had seen previously, and knowing they were going to pitch to DJ, Luke was kind of like figuring this wasn't going to go too well. And so the question was, could Justin have changed the play? He said he wouldn't have known in that particular instance. No, that's on me. And then, a follow-up question was asked similarly. And he said he was not prepared for that and he's referencing the way that the defense lined up. He was not prepared for that to be that way. So no, hopefully in the future we learn from things and make mistakes that we can grow from. And it still strikes me as odd that you wouldn't have any sort of second option. Again, I know that's a really specific situation, and look, they won the game. It isn't that big of a deal.
So I'm gonna make an assumption here,
Yeah.
but the most likely that was installed, either it was installed by the Bears that week or last week,
Mm-hmm.
or it was something they had in the playbook, but they specifically put it into the game plan, expecting a certain look on fourth down from Detroit. I'm guessing they got a look that they hadn't seen or certainly didn't expect in that situation. But like, yeah, if that's the scenario, like they give you a look that you're not expecting, like this is big boy football. You better be able to get out of that, right?
Yeah, and that's, I just don't get how, you're lined up for the tush push. You could just tush push it. You could do the sneak. I don't understand what. Yeah, I don't really get it. But I mean, you could also call a timeout. So I don't know, that whole explanation doesn't really make sense to me. But maybe they just, yeah, maybe they didn't have. Apparently they didn't have another option. So
All right. Well, I guess we're done litigating this from that point, right? Or do
I'm
you?
glad you brought that up, because I was thinking about that as we were talking about just a minute ago, as we were talking.
Yeah.
Because it is an interesting point. I know they won the game. They did a lot of nice plays. The DJ Moore touchdown run was a cool play. So they're doing some nice things, but I do think it's worth questioning that play in that situation.
And is it growth that like they're admitting that, and like should we expect to not see those scenarios again? You know what? Like I don't know. Robert says, I know I might get thrown out of the chat here, but I feel like Getsy deserves some credit, although he is still growing as the rest of the team. that's kind of what I was just saying there, Robert, was like I have plenty of doubts about this coaching staff.
Mhm.
Uh, I do think, Sean, like what we've seen on the field, we're seeing some growth from the coaching staff off the field. I don't know if it's enough, to to overcome the horrific start this regime, went through, but definitely do feel like they're getting their legs under them at least a little bit.
Yeah, and talking to we had the offensive assistant coaches last night, the position coaches, and there were some questions about Getsy and the process, and those guys really think he is a smart dude, and I think it's easy to look at the bad plays, the ones that don't work, but I think overall he called a really good game last week, and there were some creative a couple of creative plays. Sure, not everything you run is going to work every time. I'm sure that they will make some adjustments. That pitch play off the tush push might remain in the playbook, but they obviously you gotta make some adjustments or give yourself some outs.
You're not going to call no coach is going to call 100% great game plan, right?
Right.
It happened every single NFL game. It doesn't matter if you're watching the Las Vegas Raiders at the bottom or the Los Angeles Chargers last night, or you're watching Chiefs Eagles. There are going to be 3 or 4 play calls in a game that you just go, what the hell was that? And sometimes it's the actual play call, sometimes it's the execution.
Sometimes a guy
Yeah,
screws up. Yeah.
yeah, sometimes the guy screws up. Sometimes it's just like, the defense won. Like they gave him a look that they weren't expecting and the play didn't work. So I think we get a little hypercritical in the moment sometimes when it comes to play calling. Now, over the course of a season, we have a large enough sample size with Luke
Mhm.
Getsy that there are plenty of questions that you can have. But like overall, I think that game plan, we going back to that Detroit game, yeah, I think he has shown signs of improvement over the second half of the season.
And the sense I get from the assistant coaches too is that like they really respect the way that he is able to come up with that game plan for each specific opponent, and to kind of bring it full circle back to the Browns. Like, yeah, I could see them having a similar approach to what they were doing in Minnesota. They're certainly going to try to, you're not going to be able to beat Myles Garrett certainly one-on-one every single play. So, you have to minimize the opportunities that guy gets. And if getting the ball out quickly is what you got to do, I mean, that's entirely possible. That's what the Bears are going to do this weekend.
Yeah, I think that definitely anyone else or anybody else feel the playoff vibe for this weekend's game. Yeah, definitely, Robert. Definitely feel that vibe
Yeah.
for this game.
And I think the Joe Flacco storyline makes it fun too, because you kind of left this team for dead. When Deshaun Watson got hurt a month ago, obviously they still have a really good record, but the fact that they got a quarterback who's playing well too. I mean, if you're a Cleveland Browns fan, I mean, you got to be excited about that. It's like your team's back from the dead. Hey, maybe we do have a shot at this thing.
Did not expect to be talking Joe Flacco starting quarterback here, week 15. Yeah, and the Browns are still playing pretty decent football despite the fact that they've had some injuries.
Yeah, they're banged up.
Here's where I think at the end of the day, and why I'm picking the Bears to win this game. I'll go ahead and say that right now. Is I just don't see how the Browns are going to be able to score enough points, because I like Joe Flacco, nice storyline. I think this is the best defense with the way this is a defense that's playing really well over the last month of the season. It's the best defense the Browns have seen in a while. They are really banged up on the offensive line. I just don't see a way that Cleveland's putting a bunch of points on the board.
Yeah, I do think the Bears defense is going to challenge Joe Flacco more than what he saw the last couple of weeks. I mean, the protection has been so good. The pass rush has been improved from really all across the board. I mean, I don't see any reason why the Bears shouldn't still be getting some turnovers in this game. For that defense, and yeah, I mean, Joe Flacco's been a nice story. We'll see. It's going to get tougher down the stretch here, and certainly this is a defense that's ascending, that's heading in the right direction. And Jaquan Brisker has been dealing with a groin injury this week. You hope that he's able to play. That would be big for them if they're completely healthy back there. And that you hope that you can give this guy some fits, because obviously he's not like super mobile anymore. He's 38 years old. He's kind of never really been that mobile of a quarterback to begin with. And so, yeah, like if you get that pass rush going, good things are going to happen.
Joe Flacco's 38 years old. That makes me feel old.
It does. I remember him playing at Delaware.
Yeah. You remember the old is Joe Flacco elite debate about probably more than a decade ago now.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
All right. I do got to quickly get a shout out to our sponsor, Ken Nelson Auto Group. Probably serving the Sauk Valley area for over 55 years. Ken Nelson Auto Group offers 10 new vehicle franchises in one convenient location right here in Dixon, Illinois. Shop a great selection of new and pre-owned vehicles at kennelsonauto.com. Sean, going back over to the offensive side quickly, I wanted to ask you about the running back situation with the Bears. How do you think moving forward, based on what we saw last week, this is going to play out with these three guys?
Yeah, I mean, Deontay Foreman was kind of the guy last week. I don't know why that would change. They're all healthy. I kind of think that they're going with the quote unquote hot hand. Not that he had a big game the other day, but I mean, generally he's had a really nice season. I think he's earned the snaps. I do think he's probably going to continue to be the lead guy. But yeah, I mean, they still mixed in Herbert and Roschon Johnson. All those guys got snaps. It's really hard to mix in three guys. That's a lot of people in one backfield. But
CJ says here, Bears will need to define that backfield. Hopefully more Foreman, Johnson, and less Herbert. CJ, I'm on the same page as you. It is odd to think that, though, considering how efficient Khalil Herbert was last year and at the beginning of this season, Sean.
Yeah, no, he got off to a really nice start. I mean, all the you look at the yards and stuff, it's nothing crazy, but you look at the underlying metrics and everything suggests that he's, still really efficient when he's got the ball in his hands. He always has been. I think that's just been kind of his running style and the way he plays, and it's kind of natural for him to just hit the hole and go. But yeah, I mean, Deontay Foreman, they're just very different running styles. Foreman is such a physical dude. He's, breaking tackles, trying to break every single tackle. And he played really well once Herbert went out. And yeah, I do think Roschon is still probably the best as far as pass protection. I know he'll miss a block here and there. That's more not knowing the assignment than being able to physically do it usually, at least with him. And I do think he's probably the best pass catcher of the bunch. Maybe he's kind of going to carve out that role as sort of the third down back, but yeah, they're still juggling these guys. We'll have to see if anything changes this weekend.
I wonder if Deonta Foreman, like, he's played really well in a Bears uniform. He's on that 1-year deal. I wonder if he's played well enough that the Bears will consider bringing him back.
I mean, what did he sign for? 1 year's?
It was like 1 year. Yeah, $2 or $3 million. It was really.
Look, he's not going to cost a lot. You could bring him back pretty easily, especially if he wants to stay. Who knows what he wants to do, but I don't expect, a big contract out there for him. So yeah, I mean, I could certainly see that.
Yeah, definitely. Where do you want to go, Sean? What haven't we hit on yet?
Yeah, let's see. We can talk injuries for a moment. I mentioned Brisker. DJ Moore was missed on Wednesday. He sat out with that ankle injury. I don't know. He missed a few plays in that game on Sunday. Came out, got kind of tackled awkwardly, came out for a little bit, but went right back in and played the rest of the game. I think that was just more of a precautionary thing, sitting out on Wednesday. He returned in a limited capacity on Thursday. I think he'll probably be fine. Equanimeous St. Brown's still been out. Jaquan Brisker was out yesterday. We'll have to hear from Eberflus. That could be an injury that happened in practice on Wednesday. Not really sure on that. Hopefully he's trending in the right direction, but we're going to kind of have to see. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, Noah Sewell's been limited, but that's kind of been the case for a couple of weeks now. He's got a knee injury.
A really healthy team for week 15. And
yeah, I mean, overall, yeah, there's nobody on IR. You're talking about a handful of guys who are limited, maybe miss a practice here and there. I mean, that's That's about as good as you can ask for in Week 15 in the NFL. You look at the other side. I mean, Cleveland's got a ton of dudes out. David Njoku hasn't practiced this week. Pierre Strong, running back. Juan Thornhill. Ethan Posick, the center, one of their centers, is not been practicing. And they got a dozen guys on this injury report.
Well, I think if I recall correctly, like I think they're out both their starting tackles too.
Yeah, I mean, they've had rotten injury luck. They really have. It's tough going.
Is Denzel Ward still out as well?
Yeah, so Denzel Ward is he's been limited this week. There's some debate whether he's going to come back this week. Shoulder injury, was limited Wednesday and Thursday. We'll have to see on Friday. We'll know a little bit more later today on all those guys.
There's Mark helping me out here. Both of the Brown tackles are out. Yeah, that's what I thought. Who's Ward? Yeah, Denzel Ward. That's who I'm talking about there, Robert. Denzel Ward, cornerback. Very, very good cornerback there. Yeah, they're definitely – Cleveland is really banged up. This seems like a spot, Sean, like the Bears, like if they want to be – if Matt Eberflus and this staff want to be taken serious, you got to win this football game. Sylvie wrote about it. It's their biggest game since this franchise's biggest game since 2020. You got to find a way to win this one.
Yeah, and I know, Joe Flacco's done some nice things, played really well, been a good story. But at the end of the day, I mean, this is a guy who's been here for like 3 weeks. And so, yeah, you got to take advantage of this opportunity in front of you. I know he's been around the block. He's seen a lot of football, played a lot of football. But, he's still in a new place. Still getting used to this offense. You should be able to win this football game. I'm going to take the Bears in this game too, Kyle. I know that defense is scary. I know you got some scars from the last time you were there, but I really feel like the way that the Bears defense is playing, they're gonna give them a shot. You probably don't have to score that many points to win this football game.
Let's go ahead and wrap this up because I think we've summarized pretty much everything. It's weird. It's black and white. You know what the Bears need to do this weekend. I want to bring Jake in too here. I want to get his thoughts on this. Jake, are we too close to this, buddy? Are we or are you joining us here? Are you taking the Bears as well?
I'm taking the Bears. I agree with everything that the gallery said. Of course, now the Bears are gonna put up a 20-point stinker, right?
Yeah, this doesn't sound good. We're all picking them.
The Bears had not won consecutive game or in 700 days, and now we're all picking the Bears to go on the road. Yeah, to win a third straight at Cleveland. We're all drinking the Kool-Aid apparently.
Well, I just think it's most reasonable, especially given the way the defense has been playing. They're very healthy. Cleveland is not.
I completely agree, Jake. I think the Bears are in good shape this weekend. But all right, guys, we're going to go ahead and sign off. Thank you, everyone who joined us live this morning. One more time, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you stick to ShawLocal.com all weekend long. Follow Sean on X at Sean_Hammond. Follow Jake at Jake Bartleson. For Sean and Jake, I am Kyle Nabors. We'll talk to you guys later. Everyone have a good weekend.